If you like seeing grass stand up like this and you want to get similar results, keep watching. Hey all, and welcome to part 2 on how to build a static grass applicator. My name's Luke, and in this guide I'll be picking up the build from part 1 and we'll show you how to wire up the electronics of the static grass applicator. If you missed part 1, I'll put a link in the video description below. So let's get started. First I strip the ends of the wires and tin them all. This makes it easier to solder to the various parts later. The high voltage output wire, which is the lonely red wire on the negative ion generator, needs to poke through this hole in the bottom of the applicator. To make this job easy, cut a length of black wire about 1/2 meter long. This will be used to feed through the small hole, then solder it to the red wire and pull it back through the hole, which will then pull the red wire through, making the job very easy. Cut the black wire off and keep it aside, as this will be used for the negative connection that runs from the applicator to the layout. Next I solder a plug onto the red wire and use shrink tube to help seal the rear of the plug. This stops small grass fibres getting in behind the plug, and the plug will then connect to the lid once it's done later. I connect the black wire from the ion generator to the long black wire we just cut. Be sure to place shrink tube over the top before soldering to the switch. Now that's ready, I ting the lugs on the switch and connect the 2 black wires to the bottom corner of the switch. Then slide the shrink tube over the top and apply heat so it grips. On the opposite corner, attach the red wire. The switch should now look like this. The next piece is a red wire. I have already connected a plug to one end, and this will connect to the positive side of the power source. Then, in line with the other red wire already on the switch, connect this one to the center lug. Do the same again with a black wire. This is obviously the negative wire from the power source, and don't forget shrink tube. You want shrink tube because the handle will be shaken while in use and you want to avoid the wires touching. This is what the completed switch should look like. The long black wire needs to feed through the small hole on the side. The 2 main power wires just poke out the top, so you should have your power in wires from the top, the negative ground wire out the side, and the high voltage output wire coming out the bottom. To secure the piece of wood inside the handle, I drill a hole in the back and insert a self-tapping screw that holds the piece of wood in place against the inside of the handle. And I do the same for the switch. The small screws hold the switch firmly against the handle. I attach an alligator clip to the negative grounding wire using pliers and solder to get a good electrical connection. For the last piece of wire, I fray one end. This will poke through the metal mesh on the lid, and on the other end I solder a plug to connect to the high voltage output line. Remember to use shrink tube, and I poke the end through, twist the frayed wires together, and finally solder it onto the mesh. It's got a good hold on the mesh, as you can see. Finally, I trim off the excess, connect the 2 plugs and clip the lid onto the container. And that's the finished static grass applicator, ready for use. I connect it to a 12-volt phone charger. Make sure the wires don't touch. Put some static grass in the container. Apply glue to the area you plan on grassing. Push a pin into the glue, attach the alligator clip to the pin, turn it on and shake. As you can see from the photos, it does a great job and provides some very realistic scenes. It works great with all static grasses. The one I used in the demo is woodland scenics static grass, and in the photos I used mininature static grass. Well, I hope you enjoyed this 2-part guide and have fun building your own static grass applicator. As always, play it safe when dealing with electricity, and until next time, happy railroading. Cheers.